And thank you also to the excellent media team at Woking FC, because we can now show you the January goal of the month from the cards, from which we will continue to move on to their form. And it's just been maybe a little bit of a frustration with turning those draws into wins, hasn't it?
Yeah, it has. I mean, I think, you know, Jacob would probably agree with me. We see the Woking games, you know, most weeks, if not every week. And I think since the turn of the year, the calendar year, it's just been too many draws, really. You know, only one defeat to Barnet a few weeks ago, but also only one win at home to Alfreton, which you would expect a team in Woking's position to get a result against Alfreton. But, you know, this draw in the last few minutes of stoppage time against Eastleigh, some of the draws have been very creditable. You know, away at Gateshead and at home to Bristol Rovers have been very, very creditable draws. But I think there's just been too many.
And as we can see the goal from the Eastleigh game, it's a cracking goal. There's certainly no shortage of attacking flair in this team, is there? No,
absolutely not. I mean, sadly now Jack's gone to, you know, back to Colchester and then, back to Ipswich and then on to Colchester on loan. But Ross Lafayette's come in and done a great job. He's scored a couple of goals. You know, there's Jez Soul on the bench that normally, you know, comes on with exactly, 100-odd goals for Woking during his career there.
That's how you establish yourself in a division like this, isn't it, Jacob? Just by getting that little bit more squad depth. And as we've just seen with that pearl of a free kick and this goal from Banya against Alfreton, certainly playing the right way, to use the cliche.
Yeah, and I think you can tell probably from this clip as well, the pitch is a bit heavy, there's a lot of sand on it, but, you know, it's good to see, you know, in the conference, I think it speaks for the whole league that a lot of teams are getting it on the deck and trying to play football the right way. You know, he's coming on loan, you know, Woking have lost Dean Morgan, who was another quality striker, and obviously Marriott left, as we were just talking about, but players like Banya and Lafayette have come in and they've done really well, and I think this kind of football's, you know, brilliant for Woking as a football club to bring the fans down as well. I mean, no one wants to see long ball football all week long. I mean, just ask West Ham fans, they're unhappy, but, you know, they're hanging around Europe. So, you know, and you see football like this, and, you know, it's good for the league and good for the fans, I think, and good to see a Football League player almost proving himself at conference level.
And this goal here, lovely drive through midfield by Arthur and then the shot coming in. But you were saying, Gary, maybe the goal probably shouldn't be credited to Arthur himself.
Well, it's interesting that he's in the goal of the month thing, but you can see there he immediately runs to Ross Lafayette, who I think, you know, when you really slow it down, and even, I think, looking into programmes and other things that the goals have been credited to, I think I'm right in saying, Jacob, that it takes a little flick off of Lafayette on the way through. Yeah,
it's difficult to tell with these kind of highlights where you've got one camera angle, but yeah, I'd certainly say that the reaction of the players running over, you know, to Lafayette as well as Arthur shows that, you know, something might have happened there. I think more.
And well,
this goal here
and
is
this
a quality strike.
My goodness me! I mean, cuts inside, and how about this? Wow. That wasn't bad, and it's, you know, nothing to do with the fact that it's, you know, Oxford City, a lower division side. It's just strikes like that at any level of football are out of this world, aren't they?
Johnny Goddard's had a very, very consistent season. I think he's pretty much almost an unsung hero, I think, down at Woking. He comes in, if he gets a chance to start a game, he puts a shift in. He never really lets you down. He doesn't do anything, you know, fantastically out of the ordinary. He finds his man. He always finds a red and white shirt. And then he can come forward and score goals like that. He's a real, you know, I think a credit to the club, really.
Would you say maybe, well, obviously we've seen it, the attacking flair Woking have got to offer, and they're known for passing the ball around nicely. Maybe it's at the back that's stopping them from quite progressing into those playoff places.
Well, perhaps, but I've got to say, when I've seen Woking, they've looked quite solid across the park. If anything, it seemed like they didn't do anything particularly spectacular. Maybe they're lacking, like, I mean, certainly Barnet have got a player like Luis Mavia, someone who can really unlock the defence. You know, when the game degenerates into sort of a Route 1 game or sort of just a low quality match, he's the one who can pick the pass and make it, and change the whole course of the game.
How would our Woking Sandwich respond to that allegation?
I think Odebaidi that's come in recently, I don't know how much you've seen of him, Gary, but he's the kind of guy that can pick the ball up on the halfway line and make that run and unlock something. And he's been a key player in the last few weeks to getting us some points. So I think they've noticed kind of what you're saying there. And he scored the goal against Barnet, actually. I think you noticed he picked the ball up from quite deep, made the run and scored the goal. But I think players like that are rare.
Do you think it's too late for Woking to have any shout at the plus? Because they're still in that mix, despite, you know, is it out of reach completely?
No, certainly not out of reach completely. No, I think they need to start turning these draws that they've been having into winning performances. They haven't got a game this weekend, but starting the following week away at Lincoln, that's a very good opportunity to pick up 3 points. When you look at the teams that are buzzing around the top of the table, Grimsby have still got to come to Kingfield Forest Green have still got to come to Kingfield. Halifax have got to come to Kingfield on the last day of the season. So there are still plenty of games, you know, against teams that are in and around them, buzzing around the top 10 of the table, that Woking can certainly still pick up 3 points from.
And Jacob, how do you see Woking's playoff chase? Because I think we've almost forgotten, because football fans get so expectant, that for Woking a top half finish would be a really, really good season. Yeah,
I think it is. I think something that I've been trying to tell people this season is, so Woking got promoted as champions when Dartford came up in the playoffs, and you look at the two teams at the moment, you know, Woking are pushing almost for the playoff. Maybe, you know, they're a little bit off now, and they're quite a few points outside of it. They're now outsiders for it, but Dartford are really scrapping to stay in the league, and you kind of look at it like that and you're grateful that Woking have established themselves, and now that they are potentially pushing on. I think, as you were saying, there is quite a, you know, there's a lot of games still to go, but there's a lot of teams with games in hand. I think Halifax have got 4 games in hand on teams like Woking, so it's quite worrying when you're competing against teams like that that will inevitably pick up points along the way. So I wouldn't say it's over just yet, but it's nice to see them at least having a go this season.
Brilliant. Thanks for your views, gents, and thanks again to Woking and Forest Green Rovers for those highlights. We'll be back shortly after this break.